Good morning. This is Brian Aiming with CMS Wireless. As we continue to take the opportunity to reinforce our core value of safety during this year's safety stand down, one of the additional items we want to focus in on is identifying hazards associated with dealing with leading edges and walking working surfaces. So whether it's the edge of the roof, skylight, open holes, or access entryways, let's ensure our team knows the procedure of minimizing and eliminating those hazards. Falls continue to make up the majority of on-the-job accidents. They cause almost 20% of disabling occupational injuries and thousands of fatalities every year. The fact is, most of these accidents could have easily been prevented. In the absolute belief that these tragic accidents are preventable, a good place to start is pre-planning. Pre-planning is essential when working around unprotected leading edge hazards. When working on a rooftop with an unprotected leading edge, employers and managers must plan the project to ensure the job is done safely. Begin by deciding how the job will be getting done, what task will be involved, what safety equipment may be needed to complete each task. When estimating the cost of a job, employers should include safety equipment and plan the necessary equipment and tools available for that job site. Now, for example, on a rooftop, think about all the different types of fall hazards, such as open holes, skylights, roof's edge. Then plan and select fall prevention suitable to that work, such as a fall restraint system or maybe a warning line system, etc. Good pre-planning can minimize a truck roll or return trip to get the right equipment for the job when it should have been covered in pre-planning or maybe even the site walk. Even more important, it can be the difference between someone getting hurt on a job site due to poor planning. Now, after good pre-planning, second is to ensure workers have the right safety equipment and the right training for the job. Employers must ensure that all workers are trained on the proper setup and the safe use of all types of fall protection equipment. This training must be specific to address the types of equipment being used on that job site. This training must cover all employees that are doing leading edge work or any form of elevated work activities. They must be able to identify fall hazards and know what type of fall protection, fall prevention equipment will be needed to mitigate those hazards. To protect these workers, employers must provide the correct fall protection equipment for the job. Some examples are warning line systems, maybe an engineered anchor point, or creating a guardrail system, or maybe just simply utilizing a restraint system once the appropriate anchor point has been established. Now, when the install crew arrives on site, performing a hazard assessment is the root of all injury prevention, especially dealing with any unprotected leading edges. A good place to start when assessing hazards when working on a rooftop is to identify any unprotected leading edges. Now, OSHA defines a unprotected leading edge as any side edge of a walking working surface where there's no wall, guardrail system, or stair rail system to protect the employee from falling to the lower level. If the parapet wall on the rooftop you are working is 39 inches or greater, a harness or fall protection system will not be needed. Now, if it is less than 39 inches, be sure to utilize appropriate fall prevention equipment, whether it's a guardrail system, travel restraint system, or personal fall arrest system. So with good pre-planning and the correct training and equipment, a competent person on site must ensure the employees is protected from the leading edge hazards. Other hazards such as floor openings that need to be mitigated are access entryways, skylights, and open holes. Each of these direct hazards must be treated as a unprotected edge and must be documented on the method of protection to avoid any falls from a working surface. Whether it's utilizing a warning line system, adding a skylight cover, or covering the hole and marking it clearly, these are just some options of ensuring a fall doesn't occur. So be sure to document the preventive measurements and communicate it in your daily hazard assessment to your team prior to work. So let's remember all lessons learned with fall hazards and ensure you and your coworkers go home safely. It starts with having good pre-planning to address all leading edge hazards. Ensure your crew has the correct equipment and are properly trained. And finally, and again, know the root of all injury prevention is performing and executing a thorough hazard assessment. The goal is not just to realize that these deaths are preventable, but to have lessons learned and ensure we are all taking the appropriate steps to continue our relentless commitment in safety and ensure all workers return home safely each and every night. This year's safety stand down gives us the opportunity to reinforce our core value and many of our safe practices, as well as addressing all types of fall hazards associated with working on communication structures.